Yo, Havoc Nation has arrived. What's going on, everybody? Los Angel of Havoc here, aka Tato, the one and only High Priest of the congregation. Welcome back to another installment of Tato Clips, where we got a little bit of everything. And in today's video, Guardians, we are going to be going over all of the exotic weapon and armor changes coming in Destiny 2 Renegades. This information comes from the recent dev insight articles Bungie released on November 11th and 19th, respectively. I've linked the full articles in the video description below if you'd like to read everything in a bit more detail. Given the amount of information present, I felt for writing purposes, I try to just cover things in sections. That said, let's go ahead and get started with the exotic weapon changes. For Ace of Spades, they've increased extra PvE damage bonus of Memento Mori from 18% to 30%. And for Ace of Spades' Firefly perk, they've increased the maximum damage in PvE from 65 to 100. They've also increased the minimum damage in PvE from 0 to 20, increased the area of effect size from 6 meters to 7.5 meters, and increased the damage falloff start from 30% of area of effect size to 50%, which will keep full damage for more distance. Hawkmoon now gets a PvE damage bonus per stack of paracausal charge, which maxes out at 70% at 8 times paracausal charge, and that does not include the final paracausal shot. For Osteostriga, they reduced the cooldown of the Poison Burst final blow from 4 seconds to 2. Soros Regime can now be special reloaded at will to swap between spinning up and dual speed receiver behaviors. They've added new hip fire reticle elements that correspond with each firing mode. It also grants bonus special ammo progress with spun up kills while using spinning up, and bonus heavy ammo progress on dual speed receiver kills while in ADS. Revision Zero's Hunter's Trace rounds now create a small, damaging shockwave and exhaust targets on impact. For Touch of Malice, they've increased the amount of healing provided by the intrinsic perk. They've also reduced the number of kills needed to trigger the healing in PvE, and activating Charged with Blight will now fire the healing impulse. For Collective Obligation, they've added a very slow rate of leeching effects off unaffected targets. This gives each effect an order of effectiveness with around a full mag of hits per debuff. This goes from volatile to weaken to suppression. It also charges the leech mode at the same rate. Symmetry now builds bolt charge when you have more than 1 stack of dynamic charge in alt fire mode, and it grants even more stacks of bolt charge when you have more than 10 dynamic charge stacks. You can also now spin bolt charge when you have more than 1 stack of dynamic charge in alt fire mode as well, and they've increased the base reload stat by 20. Still Hunt's Golden Gun damage while using Celestial Nighthawk has been buffed by 40%. Also, Sniper's Meditation Wall now buffs Still Hunt's Golden Gun shots as well. Wither Horde's Silent Alarm auto-load time has been reduced from 3.5 seconds to 2. Duality has had its hipfire spread reduced by 6%. The Chaperone has now been changed to use the rapid-fire slug frame damage and rate of fire profile. Ruinous Effigy's Catalyst now grants a 30% PvE damage buff and a 15% PvP damage buff to the Trace Rifle when killing anything with the Transmutation Orb or damaging a mini-boss, boss, or champion with the Transmutation Orb. The special reload for Izunagi's Burden will now once again scale with the reload speed stat. For Tessellation, with property undecidable, final blows now also grant 2.5% light and dark transcendence energy and grant bonus time to transcendence while active. An issue was also fixed where transcendence grenade chunk energy gains were not scaling based on the grenade stat. For property irreducible, while transcendence is active, the special reload shots now deal 25% more damage when combined with the transcendence damage buff. Also, special reloading now reloads the mag from reserves, and you can now special reload while you have 0 ammo in the mag. The Catalyst has increased applied Scorch stacks from 15 to 70 and slow stacks from 30 to 80. The subclass keyword application is now near immediate, though it still does not apply before the primary explosion. And one more change. They've updated the timing of the reload for Tessellation and Jotun so that ammo is added to the mag slightly sooner, properly lining up with the animation. For Deathbringer, they reduced the spread of the secondary cluster munitions after they are created. For Black Talon, the heavy attack now suppresses on hits. If the target is already suppressed, it spreads to nearby targets as well. For the Catalyst, on hit, it gives a 10% damage boost per void debuff on the target for 2 seconds. They've also reduced the heavy attack cost to 3 ammo from 4, and they've added the Duelist's Trance trait and increased the max reserve ammunition. For Deterministic Chaos, it has a new effect where releasing the trigger after a vexadecimal projectile pulls 12 rounds into the magazine from reserves. For World Line 0, they fixed an issue where Tesseract was only hitting 1 instance of damage instead of the usual 5. They've also increased the damage instances via Tesseract from 5 to 7, which is a general 40% damage increase. They've reduced the time between these instances from 0.66 seconds to 0.44 seconds. An issue was also fixed where chaining Tesseract was inconsistent if the player had the World Line 0 catalyst equipped. Also, they've reduced the cost of chain Tesseract blinks from 20% sword energy to 10% per. And for Wolfsbane, they've increased the damage of the light attack by 8.5% to bring it closer to Lament or aggressive swords. They've increased the nano assault duration from 10 seconds to 12 seconds, which makes the tornadoes feel a little more forgiving. And they've also increased the swarm NATO damage by 20%. They've retuned the axe handles and increased damage resistance on each handle by 5% and increased damage resistance linger time from 3 seconds to 5 seconds. They've also reduced internal cooldown of subroutine recursions extra nanites from 5 seconds to 2 seconds, and they adjusted the damage increase when used on afflicted targets to ramp slightly quicker. And that wraps up all of the changes coming to exotic weapons and Renegades that we know of thus far. Now it's time to move on to the changes coming to exotic armor. Of course, we'll begin with my hunters. Graviton Forfeit now grants improved grenade, melee, and class ability recharge rates for a moderate duration each time you become invisible. The effect stacks up to 3 times, and the effect time does not deplete while you are invisible. At 3 stacks of the buff, successive triggers also additionally grant a portion of Void over Shield as well. For the Omnioculus, granting the effects of Beyond the Veil to allies now also starts their health and shield regen. However, this only applies to allies and not the hunter themselves. Shax is watching. For Lucky Raspberry, projectile lifetime of the chain projectile has been increased for the Arc Bolt grenade ability. This helps it hit consistency on moving targets that are near the outer edge of the chain range. It now activates 0.1 seconds faster after the initial sensor sweep from 0.6 seconds to 0.5 seconds. They've also increased the max chain range of the initial chain from 7 meters to 10 meters. Also, for the armor itself, it now always applies Jolt on Arc Bolt grenade hits and returns Arc Bolt energy on any application of the Jolt debuff or triggering Jolt chains on a target already affected by the debuff. For the Orpheus rig, they've increased the super duration from 16 seconds to 20 seconds. And for Gemini Jesters, they've increased the disorient duration against players from 0.5 seconds to 1 second. In addition to applying disorient, misdirection also removes opposing players' HUD for 2 seconds, and they've also increased the disorient duration against PvE combatants from 2 seconds to 3 seconds. Moving on to my Titans. For Arbor Warden, picking up 3 orbs of power now enhances your next Baronade. Enhanced Baronade spawns a Y pattern of 3 of your equipped barricade on Baronade detonation. This does works with barricade modifications like Dringer's Lash and or Storm's Keep. For the Dune Marchers, they've increased the maximum chain count from 4 to 7. Each chain hit now grants 2 bolt charge stacks, 3 with the fragment, and glaive melees can now also trigger the chain as well. For Ursa Furiosa, it should now properly gain super energy if damage is blocked while the player has an overshield. Super energy stored is no longer scaled based on enemy difficulty. Super energy refund meter fill rate is doubled in at-power activities, and super energy refund meter fill rate is buffed by about 13.6% in less than 40 power activities. For Second Chance, they've added behavior that spawns Void Breaches on shield throw final blows, and picking up any Void Breach grants shield throw melee energy. The Sentinel Shield's super's ranged attack, aka the shield throw, now also weakens when this exotic is equipped, and they've also fixed a bug where anti-barrier shield throw melee would not bounce to more than 2 targets. Wearing the Armamentarium now grants 10% grenade energy on weapon final blows, and now reloads the player's equipped weapon when using a grenade ability. For the Lion Rampants, they now allow shooting while ADS in the lift. And for the Peacekeepers, they've increased the mobility bonus from 25 to 30 and re-added the ability to swap load SMGs. Finally, for my Warlocks, the Nothing Manacle's charged scatter grenade ability now has a faster final projectile speed, and wearing the armor itself now spawns additional scatter seekers on the scatter grenade kills, and this effect can chain. This is in addition to adjustments made to charged scatter grenades in update 9.1.5, which are as follows. The charged grenade now creates 4 more seekers. They've increased the charged seeker damage versus combatants by 25%. They've improved charged seeker tracking versus combatants, and they also increase Charge Seeker lifetime. For the Briarbinds, they now need fewer kills to max out the Briarbind's Void Soul damage buff. This has been decreased from 4 to 6. Additionally, the Briarbind's Void Soul now does more damage based on the amount of time it has been deployed on the target, up to 30% more damage after 10 seconds. Wearing Storm Dancer's Brace while Storm Trance is equipped now grants Bolt Charge for arc ability hits when amplified, and the Storm Trance damage bonus now builds on hits instead of kills, increasing the max count to compensate. It now needs 30 hits to cap. Top end damage bonus is unchanged. For Winter's Guile, melee and finisher final blows now grant bonus melee damage. Melee final blows grant 1 stack while finishers grant 3 stacks. The max is 10 stacks, which will grant a total bonus of 400% melee damage. The stacks are lost one at a time and last for 4.5 seconds. Once you reach 10 stacks, you immediately gain 1 melee charge and enter Warlord's Rage when you activate your melee ability. You then have 10 seconds to activate the Warlord's Rage. While in Warlord's Rage, you gain dramatically increased melee regen speed, gain faster melee speed, melee damage bonus is increased to 500%. It lasts 10 seconds and then you lose all stacks once Warlord's Rage ends. For Mateodoxia, hitting a target with 5 Needlestorm super projectiles will now also activate the Stylistix's Suspending Burst. The burst caused by the super deals radically increased damage to all targets caught in the radius. This burst should allow Needlestorm to feel like a damage contender with the likes of a Curious of the Falling Star empowered Thunder Crash. And finally, while wearing the Dawn Chorus, Daybreak and Dawn Chorus damage is increased by 5%, and the total Scorch stacks are increased as well. And that wraps up all of the exotic armor and weapon changes coming to Renegades. Of course, Renegades will also be introducing new exotic weapons and armor as well. Are you excited for these changes? Are you excited for the new gear? Do you think any of it will inspire some new build crafting? As always, I would love to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video or found it helpful, please do me a solid and give it a thumbs up. It might seem like a little bit, but it does go a long way in terms of helping the channel grow, and I really appreciate it. If you want to see more content like this, do be sure to hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next video. Once again, my name is Lost Angel of Havoc. Thank you for watching Late Tato Clips. We will see you next time, friends. Same late time, same late channel.